Hey, what's going on, everybody? Dottz here, and today I'm bringing you my guide on the best spots to grind in Black Desert Online, starting from the very beginning of the game all the way to the end game. Grinding is obviously a very huge part of BDO and is one of the primary ways to make money in the game, whether it is from trash drops from the monsters themselves or farming specific items that they can drop. Now, I do recommend, if you are a new player, I'd pause this video and go watch my BDO quick start beginner guide, as that's going to be better suited for you if you are brand new and kind of give you a good idea on where you should start. Basically, as a new player, you want to primarily start by questing up through Altanova/Media, and then once you get a quest that says, off to Valencia, you then have the choice to either go continue that quest line if you want to, or simply stop there and then start your grinding process. Also, throughout that main quest line, you'll be getting gear called Naru gear, which you can upgrade to give you some really nice solid starting stats. Or if you're on the season server, you can convert that Naru gear into Tuvala gear, which is an extremely strong set of starting armor, and seasons are again kind of like a fast pass way to start the game. And if again you are new to BDO, I do have guides on how to get and upgrade that gear, which again I will link in the description below alongside my quick start guide. But now let's assume you know all that, you have that stuff all settled, and you're like, all right, Dottz, I'm ready to start grinding. I'm ready to get in to the BDO grind loop. Where do I go? Where do I start? So the first place that I'm going to recommend, and you're going to see recommended by a million people, is going to be Polly's Forest. The reason for that is that Polly's Forest gives very high amounts of skill and character experience, and not all spots in this game are created equal when it comes to EXP. Some mobs give a lot of experience and some do not, and Polly's is known to be one of the best spots for experience. In general, in terms of like recommended stats, I'd recommend what the game says, 160 AP with around maybe 250 DP, which can be very easily acquired through, again, that starter gear. And actually, Polly's is pretty good money nowadays as well. In the past, it was pretty much an XP spot exclusively, but now it's pretty solid for money. So if you are looking to, get started with a brand new grind spot, this is going to be one of your best places to start. And once you get a little bit more gear and your AP starts to get a bit more padded, that is when you're going to start to get ready to move to another grind spot. Now, I personally recommend, as early on in your BDO adventures as possible, like once you graduate from Polly's Forest and your AP's around 190, DP still around 210, doesn't have to be much higher, I would start to do the infinite potion grind. Specifically the health potion, as it is probably one of the biggest quality of life upgrades in the game. Again, if you want to know how the infinite potion works, I do have a guide on my YouTube channel, which again I will link in the description below. But the thing with the infinite potion, and why I personally am a very big fan of completing it as early as possible, is it's all about opportunity cost. When you are later in the game, for you to take time to stop grinding your normal spots and go to grind the infinite potion, you are giving up higher, returns of silver per hour that you could be making at some of those higher end spots. You're giving up that time farming the infinite potion, versus if you do it early on in your adventure, the spots that you can grind don't make as much money, so you're giving up less potential silver per hour to start grinding the infinite potion. Also, thankfully, the infinite potion is much better to grind nowadays compared to the past. Not only do pity pieces exist, which allow you to have a sense of progress as you actually upgrade the potion, but the spots themselves do make more silver compared to the past. So the first one I would start at is going to be Blood Wolves. When you hit about 190 AP, DP is going to be pretty much the same as Polly's, around that 210 mark. And then once you finish the Blood Wolf settlement, you're going to move all the way over here to the Sherikan Necropolis with about 210 AP and 230 DP. And then once you finish Sherikan, you're going to go over here to the Tooth Fairy Forest, the Forest Rodneros area specifically, and that's going to be when you are around 240 AP and 270 DP. Forest Rodneros, of the three areas, is personally my favorite, as it actually makes pretty solid money. You get decent coffers, dream horse mats, and on top of that, you are farming that infinite potion. And then obviously once you're done with those three spots, you can get the final two pieces after talking to Menendora and going through the knowledge required for the infinite potion, and then hooray, you will have your infinite potion, and we're ready to graduate to some higher end grind spots. Now, once you do finish that infinite potion, there are going to be a bunch of different spots at your disposal, kind of where your gear is going to be. Like I said, you're going to be, well above 240, 270. Now you're going to be starting to creep into that 300 plus mark for defense, and then your AP will probably be about 250 or higher. Now I'm going to recommend some Agris spots originally to start. So in terms of Agris, what I would recommend doing is going to, I hate the spot, but it's really, really, really good. And that's going to be the Centaurus herd. That's going to be right up here. You could actually do this when you're even lower. You could do 190 AP and 200, 210 DP here. Centaurus is a really easy spot to grind. It makes a ludicrous amount of money, but you're going to want to make sure that you have Agris, and you're going to want to do the loop right around up here. And that's going to give you just a boatload of money. Now, if you either hate Centaurs like me, even though it's really good, and you want to try different spots, personally I actually recommend going to Histria, and that is going to be in the desert. What you're going to want to do is you're actually going to want to go to the Sand Grain Bazaar, and you're going to want to talk to the alchemist there, and he will give you a small quest line to do. And then once you complete that quest line, you can basically run through the desert, and there will be different portals in the desert that you can find. And once you complete the quest, the portals that have a glowing rim on the outside will be portals to the Histria ruins, and the ones that don't will be portals to Akhman. Now, if you don't complete that quest line that I mentioned, you will not be able to tell the difference between the portals, and you might accidentally get sent to Akhman when you want to be sent to Histria. Histria is going to be about a 250 AP, 300 DP grind spot, but it's a very good spot to grind when you have your Agris. If you don't want to grind there, another spot that you have is Kratuga. You can come here to the Hashra Ancient Ruins, and like literally right under the word ancient, there is like a door that you can take, and you can go into the ruins in there. And as you run through the ruins, you will eventually come across a door. Especially if you play with your audio one, you can hear the Black Spirit audio kind of in the background as you get close. And if you do have a Black Spirit claw, you use the claw with the door, and it will port you to Kratuga. Very good spot to grind with your Agris. Again, about that 250, 300 AP DP spot. Now, if you are around this gear score and you don't have Agris, what I do recommend doing, just kind of like a special shout out here, if you're around 260, 320, is going to be Star's End. Star's End is a bit more of an RNG spot, as you are trying to go based off of distos, because that's pretty much where most of your money comes from. But again, if you are around that, 250, 300 to 260, 320 mark, that, Star's End is going to be a really solid non-Agris spot. Just kind of wanted to shout that out. But at around this mark, most of your really good spots, do require Agris. There are some other spots that you can go to that don't, besides Star's End. I believe Elvia Baragi Den is also a decent one that you could go to. That's going to be a 240, 310 spot. So you do have a bunch of options around this, gear score. But once things, in terms of non-Agris spots, they really start to pick up when you hit that 260, 330 mark, because that allows you to go to 3 different spots. Some of my personal favorite spots in the game. You have Elvia Swamp Nagas, Elvia Swamp Fogans, and then you also have Thornwood. All are really, really, really good spots around that 260, 330 mark that you can grind and do not require Agris to go into. Now, if you are new to the game, they did just change this. If you want to go into Elvia, you now have to click this up here, and then it'll allow you to enter an Elvia realm. In the past, there were specific servers that were Elvia, and that would then upgrade the different locations. But now, technically, most servers are Elvia servers, and you just got to click this little icon to swap over to them. Now, once you, 260, 330, we've been grinding at Fogan, Swamp Dog, and Thornwood. We're ready to move up. When you start hitting that 280, 340, we can go to the all-famous, all-powerful Orc Camp, which can be found right here. Orc Camp is going to carry you for a lot of the game. 280, 340. It's a very good grind spot. You're going to be able to do this for an extremely long time. But if you do have Agris, and again, your gear score is up there, you're around 280, 350, that is when you can start coming down here, if I can remember where it is, because I haven't grinded there yet, so my brain.exe has stopped working. We have Jade Starlight Forest at about a 280, 350 mark for grinding with your Agris. Also, obviously, a very good spot along with Elvia Orcs. So when you're up at this gear score, Elvia is going, the Orcs is going to be a good spot to grind with no Agris, while Starlight Forest is going to be a good spot to grind with it. And then finally, when we're getting to our super super end game spots, I'm going to recommend going with the Hex Sanctuary if I can remember where it is. So we have it right here, just southwest of Keplen. You can find the Elvia Hex Sanctuary. This is going to be your super duper D end game spot when you're at that 300, 390 gear score. Basically closing in at 700 gear score, pretty much hard capped. That's where you're going to be grinding near the end. Now, guys, for most of these spots, in terms of your loot scroll, you could pretty much just go with a blue loot scroll if you want. That's kind of always the eternal debate a lot of people have. Oh, do I blue loot scroll this spot or gold loot scroll this spot? So something to keep in mind about the loot scroll, you have to hit escape, go to item collection gauge, and you have two different levels. You have your level 1, which increases your item drop rate percent by 100%. So that's like your chance to get rare items. It also gives you an item drop amount of 50% increase. That is your trash loot. Now, if you notice, going to level 2, there's no difference in the item drop rate, only the drop amount. So you might be wondering, well, how do I know when to use level 1 or level 2? So you'll pretty much get a good feel for this when you go to the different spots. Some mobs at certain locations can only drop a certain amount of trash loot and actually give no different amounts of trash loot between level 1 and level 2. So for example, here at Star's End, which is where I'm grinding right now, just to have a bunch of drop rate percentage increases, so I'm trying to farm distos. There's basically no difference if I use a level 2 loot scroll versus a level 1. I basically get the same amount of trash loot. However, at Centaurs, I get about 1 or 2 more trash loot per mob with a gold loot scroll versus a blue loot scroll. Some people think, that's not worth it, but over a 3-4 hour grind period at a place like Centaurs where the trash loot is worth a lot, I think it kind of adds up. So if you don't have a lot of loot scrolls, stick with blue. If you're at a spot where the gold loot scroll makes a difference and you have a lot of loot scrolls, I would go ahead and use it, go ahead, get that extra loot. But you can test it pretty easily by just simply, starting with a level 1 loot scroll, see how much trash you get per mob, and then try a level 2 scroll. And if it goes up, you can use it if you want. But if it does not, then just switch back to level 1. And then for that specific spot, okay, I want to stick with a blue, aka level 1 loot scroll and not a level 2. Also, guys, of course, remember that when you are grinding, have your pets here on Agile. It's going to allow them to loot at the quickest rate. But if you guys actually do want more grinding tips, I also do have a grinding guide on how to grind very efficiently in Black Desert on my YouTube channel. So you can check that out if you want to make sure you're grinding all these spots at top speed, making the most money. And again, I will also link that similarly in the description below. But guys, that is going to be it for me today. Let me know in the comment section what your favorite grind spot is. And if you have a spot that you like that I did not mention in this video, please also leave that in the comment section below. These are just some of my personal recommendations, my personal favorites. Everyone's got their own spot that they enjoy to grind. And if you want to check out some rates and some gold amounts or silver amounts for some other grind spots, you can feel free to check out the grind tracker on garmoth.com, a really good way to kind of look at some spots, see how much money you can make, as well as the AP and DP required. But guys, that's going to be it for me today. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, I would really appreciate if you left a like on it. Any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below, and subscribe for more Black Desert Online beginner content. So thank you all so much for stopping by today. I do very much appreciate it. As always, I'm Dottz Gaming, and I'll see you all in the next video.